Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp, and I'm the Chief Digital Officer of DATAVERSITY. We would like to thank you for joining the latest installment of the monthly DATAVERSITY webinar series, Analytics Architecture with William McKnight. Today, William will be discussing 2026 trends in analytic architectures. Just a couple of points to get us started. Due to the large number of people that attend these sessions, you will be muted during the webinar. For questions, we'll be collecting them via the Q&A section. And if you'd like to chat with us or with each other, we certainly encourage you to do so. And just to note, the Zoom chat defaults to send to just the panelists, but you may absolutely change that to network with everyone. To find and open both the Q&A and the chat sections, you can find those icons in the bottom middle of your screen for those features. And as always, we will send a follow-up email within 2 business days containing links to the slides, the recording of this session, and additional information requested throughout the webinar. Now, let me introduce to you our speaker for the series, William McKnight. William has advised many of the world's best-known organizations. His strategies form the information management plan for leading companies in numerous industries. He is a prolific author and a popular keynote speaker and trainer. He has performed dozens of benchmarks on leading database, data lake, streaming, and data integration products. William is a leading global influencer in data warehousing and master data management, and he leads McKnight Consulting Group, which is twice placed on the Incorporated 5,000 list. And with that, I'll give the floor to William to get today's webinar started. William, hello and welcome.
Thank you, Shannon, and welcome everybody. Welcome to 2026. Happy New Year. I'm so pleased to be here with you today and to have you out here getting this education. You know, AI is changing education, but one thing it won't do is it won't give you a hard reason to dedicate a specific hour to your education. And that's what we hope we do here at Analytic Architectures. Now, until about 15 minutes ago, when I sent this presentation to Shannon, I had a typo on my main slide here. I had it called 2006 Trends in Analytic Architectures. And I began to wonder when I saw that, was I supposed to talk about 2006 trends? Well, I figured out, no, I'm really supposed to talk about 2026 trends. So I won't be talking about this great new thing called data warehousing and how we need to bringing all our data into this data warehouse. And, oh, we can do more than reporting. We can build dashboards. And, oh, we need this thing called data quality and data governance. Well, actually, we still need those things. So some things never go away. So this is my 2026 Trends in Analytic Architectures presentation. And I would say it's trends/predictions. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. I'm bringing it to you from my experience. I promise you that I will always be bringing you bespoke presentations that are developed through my experience and deliberate synthesis. No push button generator of my slides, my ideas, or anything like that. Now, what you're going to hear today is almost nothing new, well, from my perspective at least, because it's all based upon the presentations that I've been giving you in this series throughout 2025, as well as our research and our work in the industry over the course of the past year, much of which has found its way into the presentations that we've been giving and the reports that we have produced. Now, I know that just because we show that a technology is better than another technology, better in quotes, okay, price performance wise or what have you, that doesn't necessarily mean that that technology is going to outsell the other technology. There are great sales teams out there. There's great inertia out there for what is happening. So I do believe what I have seen over the course of time is that the better technologies do win out, the better architectures, the better approaches, the better processes, they do win out over the course of time. Sometimes, though, when we're talking about vendors, the vendors just sort of have to hang in there and keep getting the word out in order to show off that they are better and they win out over the course of time. This is obviously a slide of vendors. This is updated for 2026. Brought some new vendors on last year in terms of our expertise here at McKnight Consulting Group. Should you need any help with any of these, let us know. Why are trends important? Let's start there. Why should you care what the company down the street is doing or your competitor is doing in data. Well, these trends set expectations. You're not the only one hearing about trends and what's going on. Your executives are hearing this. Your peers are hearing this. Your competitors are hearing this, and they are all leveling up according to what they are hearing and what they are expecting. People tend to go with trends, go with the expectations that they set. So it's imperative to see the trends that affect your business to know how to respond. I always like to say that the technology is showing us the possibilities, and the vendors are bringing possibilities to the table that I want you to know about, and I want you to look for value within your enterprise for the technology. That's only fair, right? I know we're not supposed to be out looking for, technology to bring in for the sake of it. We are supposed to be finding technology that solves our business problems. So with that perspective, let's look at trends. And I want to help make you a leader and not a follower. Help grow your business ideas, the ideas of what is possible within your corporation. Okay, because leadership is really important and it's needed now more than ever in information management. I've been in the space for going on 30 years, and it has never been more complicated than now. And it's not because I can't comprehend what's going on. It's just because it is. It's because everything that we did 20 years ago has kind of been dragged along to today, and it's still there. It's still in play. It's still not 100% within our corporations, like the data warehouse that I mentioned before. And on top of that is this huge layer of AI. And that has really thrown a wrench into everything that we do. So this presentation will be immensely layered with AI, as you might imagine. Information management leaders of tomorrow can advance maturity while also solving business issues. So next month, I'm going to talk about maturity within the enterprise when it comes to data. So you'll hear some of these themes from today come back in a more practical, applied way when I talk about those maturity levels next month. But you do not get a budget for being mature. You do not get a budget for staying on trends. I've never got a budget for, hey, level me up to the trends. It's always about driving something to the bottom line. And we have to keep that in mind, whether it's said overtly or not. It's implied. In my view, it's always implied. It's always behind the, oh, we need to improve customer satisfaction. It's always behind the, we need to improve our supply chain. So let's go there. Let's go there. And let's see if these trends won't help us. And I think many of them will. Information management leaders must pick their winning trends and get on board. Now's the time. Okay, what about this year that we just had, 2025? What a year it was. What a year of leveling up it was for our space. Now, I consider AI on the data management spectrum of maturity. Data is so important to AI that I just consider it part of the continuum of what we do as data and analytics professionals. With that in mind, let's look at some of the important trends of 2025. Agentic AI hit reality. Widespread experimentation exposed limits in reasoning, reliability, and memory, slowing large-scale production impacts. What do I mean by that? It was definitely the year of agentic AI. Whether agentic AI hit it out of the park in terms of enterprise bottom line ROI or not, it is what many of us pursued throughout the year. We found some limits. We found some limits in agentic AI, and I'll talk more about that as we go along here. Standards emerged fast, like MCP to me, it's one of the fastest growing trends, I guess, if you want to call it that I've ever seen in this space. And it's really become quite important. Data foundations were consolidated around PostgreSQL, which had a banner year, Zero ETL. This idea had a banner year, and data sharing. became core patterns for unifying transactional and analytic systems. So that whole line between analytic and operational slash transactional, if you will, it's getting really blurry out there. Still there, but getting blurry. Open architectures won. Apache Iceberg it had a banner year, solidified its role as the standard open table format across the ecosystem. AI did drive some real economic impact. And I gave a presentation in August in this series about some of those examples of how AI drove impact into our enterprises. And there was a great renewed interest in data. It had been kind of waning over the years. But now with AI and companies realizing that their data is insufficient for AI projects, there's a renewed interest in data architecture. There's a renewed interest in data quality and data availability and data performance. So most of that is relatively good. I'll have something to say about it as we go along here. And then we have, of course, the insane capital raises. OpenAI raised a staggering $40 billion, on and on and on. What about the circular investments that happened? The market saw frequent circular deals where money moved between a limited set of players, which drove quote unquote growth for those companies. And we drove their value up as a result of that. I must say, I'm a big proponent of AI, probably like an 8 out of 10. But I have to stand in awe of the investments that are going on in this space. Are they wiser than the rest of us? Are they just simply getting ahead of the curve? Are they trying to establish a foothold in something that is going to go places that I can't even see? I don't know that anybody can see in terms of from a traditional perspective. Were they trying to just drive up short-term stock prices and then deal with the rest later, or do they know that they'll be bailed out if thing all goes south? I don't know about any of that. I do believe that something will happen this year, 2026, that will give AI a big black eye. That does not change what we do with AI inside of the enterprise, however. It doesn't change the possibilities that they have brought to the table. So with that in mind, and my focus is going to always be on you, the enterprise, let's look at trends. First, though, let's look back at last year's trends that hit. These are my trends from last year. I took my presentation from last year at about this time. I threw it into Notebook LM. I said, pull out all the predictions that I had last year at this time. And then I took those predictions and I took it to other AIs and I said, did these predictions play out or not? Give me a grade. Grade out all these predictions. And most of them, I'll say all of them, gave me super high marks and were much higher than I give myself, for sure. What you are seeing here is not what AI gave me, it's what I'm giving myself. That being said, I did have a lot of trends that hit. Simplified data architecture, consolidation and rationalization, and back-end optimization. I said that. And yeah, that was a huge driver this year. Let me see if any others I want to pull out. Open table formats. Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's still a lot of room to grow for open table formats. Regulatory compliance costs rising, data lakehouses becoming the de facto standard. Yes, everybody wants a data lake house now, not just a lake, but a lake house. Data products as standalone exchange mechanism. I think there's still a lot of confusion about data products and what they are and how to build them. But nonetheless, many enterprises, I'll say most, are pursuing data products. Now, some more that hit in the artificial intelligence area. MLOps adoption. Yes. Executives expecting natural language with data. Yes, absolutely. AI challenges. There were many AI challenges. Again, I'm just standing in awe at everything that's going on with AI. That feels a little bit, I don't know, ill-advised from a traditional sense. But in 2025, AI moved decisively from experimentation to operational reality, with ML ops becoming standard practice and executives now expecting natural language interaction with data as a baseline capability rather than a novelty. So you're going to see that show back up a little bit later when I talk about the trends for 2026. What else hit? Broader environmental trends. Oh, it's so much fun talking about the things that hit. Cloud native principles, data observability, gaining ground everywhere. Education and healthcare, a couple of verticals that saw a huge rise in AI. Entry-level jobs becoming harder to find due to AI. I think we can agree on that one. Data engineering as still a highest valued profession, still, and it still will be in 2025, or excuse me, 2026. I don't know about 2027 though. We'll get to that. 2025 as the year of data observability. Yep. Okay. Okay. I guess I duplicated myself a little bit there. Now, these are the trends that missed. Unstructured data equal to structured in tooling and parity. We strove for it, but we struggled with it. And you're going to see some of these trends show back up this year. Just getting ahead of myself a little bit here. Because they're still worthwhile pursuits. It's just that we pursued it in 2026, but didn't quite get there. AI agents pervasive for complex specific tasks. I wouldn't say the word was pervasive. I got over the handlebars a little bit there when it came to AI agents. And to have GenAI and LLM success widely evident, over the handlebars again, I don't think so. I think there were plenty of successes. I think we are still going to pursue success in earnest in 2026, but it's not there right now. It's not there right now. We'll keep at it though. I'll point out something else here. Neuromorphic and optical computing advancements. I think future AI research is going to be focused on mimicking biological intelligence through these interfaces, like spiking neural networks that integrates memory and processing. This will lead to ultra low power adaptive learning systems, but it didn't happen in 2025. Also, hybrid computing delivering exponential big data query performance. Hybrid did not happen in a big commercial way in 2025. So let's get on with the new year here. Now, quickly, the goal of modern enterprises right now, if I look behind the initiatives that the enterprises I'm exposed to are building, they want to automate complex tasks. And automation will be a big force in 2026. They want smart data environments. They want contextually aware environments. They want to drive proactive decision-making, get ahead of decision-making. So what this year is going to be, it's the year of bringing a lot of data to bear on decisions, but also making some of the initial decisions and bringing only the more complex ones to us. Simplifying business processes, facilitating autonomous decision-making. These are all goals of the modern enterprise. Now, the old way is to spend months getting familiar with the company, take hours to find and understand relevant data, and so on. But the new way is we want it all instantly. We're getting used to that. We want smart navigation that thinks for us, thinks ahead of us, predicts where we're going with wherever we are, and gets ahead of us. We want unified access with zero ETL federation. We want fast answers and optimized queries. So the first category I'm going to talk about is artificial intelligence. Of course, 2026 will mark the inevitable deflation of the AI hype bubble. So we're going to transform all that hype into, let's see what kind of value we can really get out of AI in our enterprises. These sky-high startup valuations and aggressive infrastructure spending, that's all cooling down, sending ripples through global markets and investment flows. So that's on that side. What can we do with AI? 2025 was focused on pilots and partial automation. I'm trying to think of the ratio of clients that had real enterprise production projects for us to do versus let's do a POC, let's do an MVP, let's do a pilot, what have you. There was much more of the latter, much more of the latter. And some of that is now turning into bona fide production. But you might also say there was a lot of tire kicking in 2025. The adoption is still on the flat hockey stick blade, which implies that there's still that ramp up yet to go. 2026 will mark a rapid acceleration. I'm back. I'm back at my 8 out of 10 here. I'm back on the handlebars. I don't know that I'm over yet. I am saying there's going to be rapid acceleration of AI and autonomous execution that will scale and investment velocity, which will increase. I would say a majority, like well over 50% of the budgets that I see that are being deployed for this year have something to do with AI, if not a lot to do with AI. So let's see how it all plays out. Best of breed AI architectures in no particular order. These are the trends. Fungible AI stacks over these integrated platforms. So winning architectures prioritize modularity, enabling organizations to swap models, vendors, and infrastructure layers as the technology evolves, rather than being locked into brittle end-to-end stacks. We're going to see more smaller, more efficient LLMs. Momentum is moving towards compact, fine-tuned models that deliver strong task-specific performance with far lower compute energy and latency costs than the big bloated LLMs, which have some enterprise application, but a limited enterprise application compared to smaller, more efficient LLMs. And I forget which month it was, but I went through the small language models, the large language models, how to get them, how to use them, how they get built, and all this sort of thing a few months ago in this series, if you're interested in more on that. Rapid model obsolescence as a strategic risk, with frontier models being eclipsed in weeks or months. Flexibility is becoming a core defensive strategy against technical and economic irrelevance. And finally, economics over raw capability. We're asking for the ROI. We're asking for what actually matters, which is not how powerful a model is in theory, but whether it's cheap, fast, and scalable enough to use in the real world and drive results. AI agents versus generative AI. While generative AI was the primary focus in recent years, next year is going to see AI agents surpass Gen AI in total impact. Unlike standard Gen AI, which often focuses on content creation, AI agents are true AI that encapsulate data models and software to autonomously perform complex tasks such as managing the supply chain, such as managing the customer interaction, and so on. Very modular, very becoming more easier to deploy, becoming more relevant upon deployment in our enterprises. And most use cases are going to be made possible, most AI use cases are going to be made possible in 2026 through agentic AI, which orchestrates all these tasks across entire workflows and has great context now with MCP of the environment and great access to multiple stores of data throughout the enterprise. So while Gen AI was fundamentally reactive, AI agents, by contrast, are goal-directed and persistent. This makes this approach superior. So from Gen AI to agentic AI, trends are going to be shift from prompt-based Gen AI. Okay, that's the shift. Agents will reason over context and enterprise data independently. Enterprises are deploying these agents that collaborate with humans, amplifying productivity and creativity. Like, for example, we're enamored with Snowflake's AI agents that have enhanced memory and context windows This exemplifies the shift towards human-like problem solving. Our research from late 2025 implies that 2026 will be characterized by a move beyond simple generative AI assistance and towards autonomous AI agents. Unlike standard Gen AI, these agents possess reasoning capabilities and contextual awareness, allowing them to act independently. Key to this is a metadata-aware knowledge layer. So the semantic layer, I'm going to come back to it. It's important enough to have its own slide or two. That's going to be really important in 2026. We're going to be building on that. Real value is also, by the way, currently being found in AI workflows, just straight up AI workflows, not necessarily even agentic AI, but we're learning how to string together the tasks of AI in our organizations through AI workflows. These are structured processes where AI handles predictable steps while humans provide validation and judgment in a nice symbiotic relationship. So jumping around, here's another, did I skip a slide? Excuse me. No, I didn't. Okay. So here's another trend that you didn't see coming. But on-prem AI infrastructure, on-prem AI infrastructure, not necessarily in the cloud. I see a higher clamoring for control, for sovereign AI. As AI workloads mature, there is a growing trend towards sovereign on-premises AI solutions to ensure data security and regulatory compliance. Our TCO analysis from 2025 reveals that integrated on-premises platforms for RAG can offer 67% lower development complexity and 51% lower TCO than complex do-it-yourself cloud-based stacks. Now, I'm not saying that the cloud-based stacks are going away, that they won't be the most popular approach. I'm just saying we're going to see more of a rise in this on-prem sovereign AI infrastructure. Large enterprises will increasingly repatriate mission-critical AI pipelines to customer-owned hardware or private clouds to maintain sovereignty and control. Sovereignty and control, excuse me. And I have no other place to say this, but since I'm talking about AI infrastructure, as for the chips, GPU dominance will continue, but there are new contenders emerging there that are comparable, like ASIC accelerators for specialized workloads, chiplets, not chiclets, chiplets, analog interfaces for power efficiency, and quantum-assisted optimizers like IBM's Granite 3.0. These new chip classes are purpose-built for agentic AI workloads. So I don't have a prediction because I don't know. I don't know which chips are going to win out over GPU, probably none in 2026, but there are alternatives going into 2026. So let's a little bit more here about sovereign AI. We established a pioneering TCO framework here for agentic AI, contrasting sovereign on-premises platforms with DIY cloud stacks. And I mentioned before, we found some good results for lower development complexity and lower maintenance effort for these RAG pipelines, which we built to demonstrate that. So sovereign AI, I think that could be a term that comes into the vernacular in 2026. It usually means AI systems that are controlled, hosted, and governed within a particular country or organization or jurisdiction, but the most common way to achieve it is with on-premises deployment. So sovereign AI for 2026, it's often going to be on-prem, not always. You can get it different ways, but I think we're going to see a rise in on-prem AI. Okay, quantified ROI. Like I said before, I think we're done with the experimental phase of AI. Is it really going to do us any good? We're going to look for quantified ROI. And a few months ago, I gave you some examples, August, I believe it was. I gave some examples of customers out there, companies out there that are seeing really high and great ROI from AI. More of that. And by the way, master data management implementing an MDM hub is typically twice as cost effective. So as long as we're in the ROI sphere here, master data management is proving itself in an ROI way in 2026. So I believe that, and I know I've said this before. If you track me, you know I've said it maybe the last 2 years, but I believe this year will be a big year for master data management as well. I would say 2025, I guess it didn't work its way into my formal predictions, but I would say it was a good year of growth for MDM, and it's one of those slow but steady growers out there. So keep an eye on that. Natural language as the primary interface to AI. Text and voice are becoming the primary way users interact with systems, replacing menus, forms, and rigid workflows with conversational intent. Now that AI can get to that intent, it lowers the skill barrier, it compresses complex workflows, it has context-aware interactions, it allows for the abstraction of underlying complexity, speed in iteration and experimentation, and it gives you a strategic control point. Whoever owns the natural language interface increasingly controls user attention, data flow, and downstream platform leverage. Now to semantic layers. Yes, semantic layers. And product-wise, we're talking about things like Snowflake Horizon or Cortex, Databricks Unity Catalog, and Microsoft Fabric. So there are plenty of others. I didn't mean to exclude anybody right there, but this whole idea of semantic layers, I do want to be front and center for us as data and analytics professionals for 2026. These unified data definitions across AI and analytics, ensuring consistent, trusted insights. Organizations that invest here have already seen better decision outcomes. So these ontologies and semantics will be treated as the essential frameworks required to make generative AI and agents actually work in production. Rather than moving physical data, organizations will move toward federated semantic layers and data sharing. So while it's perfectly normal today for companies to have many different data sets, data clouds, and even databases, it will continue to be perfectly normal, and we will learn more how to share the data and get a bigger context window for our queries. Semantic layers provide shared meaning across data tools and models, decoupling logic from underlying infrastructure so systems can evolve without breaking. They enable interoperability across vendors and applications, improve consistency and governance through centralized definitions, and they accelerate AI deployment by reducing custom prompting and tuning. So the outlook for AI in 2026, it was in 2025, the digital librarian. It would look stuff up for us. Great. In 2026, think of it more as a digital researcher, doing more than just looking things up, reading, reasoning, and connecting all enterprise data, producing insights and decisions autonomously. This will mark an inflection point in AI value creation when it is able to do this. Well, it is today, but when we finally figure out how to make that work inside of our enterprise, major inflection point in 2026. So the technical divide, AI is leveling the field, enabling non-technical users to perform tasks once reserved for specialists. Don't get married to your skill set. Don't get married to the skill set you have today because it's changing. AI is changing what's important. Enterprise users use AI for work they previously could not do and did not do. Enterprises are now doing things that they didn't do before. And now, most of the time in my career as a consultant, multiple decades, the projects have been to do something that we're already doing, but do it better. But now I see a shift towards, we don't do this, but now we can. So let's do it. And so we're seeing a whole lot of new projects if you will, that way. The advantage is shifting from pure technical skill to domain expertise paired with AI execution. Value is moving from prompt wording to providing rich business context, since models lack the awareness of internal goals, data, and rules, at least for now. Platforms are embedding AI to capture the context, create lock-in as AI improves with deeper data access. So purely technical skills are losing their competitive advantage, while the great opportunity now lies with those who have domain expertise and use AI to execute their ideas. Now let's shift to analytics architecture. It's not removed from AI. It's a grand supporter of AI, but I'm going to divide it out here and get more into the weeds of data in this section. Modern architectures are moving towards ice houses, which is a combination of Apache Iceberg and a compute engine like Trino to create open warehouses. Yes, incremental load savings. Modern data lakehouse architectures using Iceberg or Delta Lake can provide approximately 80% cost savings on incremental loads compared to traditional relational databases. In many ways, what I'm sharing with you is some of the high points of our research over the course of the year. And again, I think over time, what research proves to be better plays out in the market. Query performance. Columnar file formats like Parquet can deliver significantly faster performance, up to 2.3x faster on single column scans and 7.2 times faster on complex analytics queries involving three table joins. That's just an example. So columnar was, I'd say, probably way more than not. Data warehouses, data lakes, ice houses, what have you, are in a columnar format today, and that will continue in 2026. And data FinOps. FinOps has become really important to manage costs. Salesforce Data Cloud might be used, for example, for its cheap compute, while leveraging Snowflake for its cheap storage. And companies are getting creative to try to save money because now they're storing more data than ever. The costs are adding up fast. And so we have to get creative about ways to keep that cost under control. Now we have automated master data management. There's a lot of things within MDM that's being automated, like text field completion, entity resolution, and stewardship activities. Data fabric and semantic layer ROI. So beyond the technical performance, my work also quantifies the cognitive load and labor costs of data architecture. I have proven that an integrated business data fabric is more cost-effective over the years than a DIY stack because it reduces the initial build costs and eases complex tasks. And a semantic layer might sit between raw data and users or applications and define business meaning once in a clear, consistent term. And instead of everyone figuring out what a metric or field means each time, the definitions are already agreed to and encoded. This goes hand in hand with a business data fabric. Semantic layers speed decisions by removing ambiguity and reducing network and letting humans and letting humans and AI trust and use the data immediately. So data fabric with semantic layers is going to be the architecture foundation going into 2026. Specialized hardware. This is my chance to talk about the importance of edge AI, not edge computing, but yes, edge AI. Real-time AI processing is moving to the edge via specialized chips like Google's Edge TPU and Intel's Movidius, which allow for fast inference while minimizing power usage. Also important in 2026 are going to be zero DBA databases. Embedded databases at the edge are evolving to be zero DBA and zero ETL, meaning they manage and synchronize data automatically with central clouds without manual intervention or complex pipelines. Some industries are moving towards fully autonomous manufacturing, and they couldn't do this without a great edge architecture. Like, for example, there's a facility in China that produces smartphones 24/7 without human intervention. And we're just going to see more and more of this. Real-time data, that's becoming table stakes. And you get real-time data with edge computing. Edge computing is all about processing data close to where it's generated, rather than sending it back to a central cloud or data center. That proximity drastically reduces latency, which is why it's ideal for real-time applications. Finally, unified and multi-model platforms. This whole notion of a database for every special data type, that is going away. We see consolidating data tasks into unified platforms to reduce the complexity and data debt of heterogeneous stacks. We see these databases that can handle transactional, analytical, and NoSQL, as well as all these different data types emerging and outperforming dedicated competitors as the volume scales. Our research suggests that by 2026, the reliance on stitched together point solutions will diminish in favor of multi-model databases that offer predictable costs, simplified administration, and robust security. And we'll also see multimodal AI expansion. So the next frontier will involve models that seamlessly integrate not just text, but also speech, images, and video. Talking about that unstructured data. Open data lake format dominance. It's already sort of here, and it'll be here even stronger as we get into 2026. I think the only thing holding it back is there's other things to do within the enterprise with our limited budgets. But it's sort of the right thing to do. I think we know this. And so we have shown that Apache Iceberg or Delta Lake can reduce total compute and ingestion costs by something like 77% to 95% compared to traditional cloud data warehouses. This shift is driven by the need for interoperability, allowing organizations to unbundle compute from storage and avoid vendor lock-in. Industry experts otherwise have predicted that Iceberg will be the future for storing data, and I agree. So this is one place where I agree with other industry experts out there, right? Okay, Python-centric real-time ecosystems. Our research highlights a significant shift in developer preference towards Python-centric frameworks for stream processing. These frameworks are proving to be much more cost-effective than Java-based alternatives like Apache Flink, primarily due to lower memory utilization and faster development cycles. So in 2026, the developer experience will likely prioritize these intuitive Python environments and allow data scientists to move AI applications into production much more faster than with traditional, more complex paradigms. Distributed SQL. Our research provides deep quantitative proof for cloud-managed distributed databases. Something like, and I'll just put it out there, Azure Cosmos DB for PostgreSQL as much more performant in stuff like new orders per minute, which is kind of a standard that we look at, than some others. And it also validates that for transactional workloads, a unified data and AI platform can outperform legacy systems in price performance and in TCO. So these distributed SQL and transactional systems, you find them in the analytical realm, you find them in the operational transactional realm, and it is a architecture style that definitely works. Digital analytics and behavioral data. So there's going to be a shift from vendor UI to warehouse first analytics. And what I mean by this is our research highlights a critical shift in this area to warehouse first analytics. We show that an event data platform with transformation-based accelerators can reduce the amount of data scanned in, we use BigQuery, but by a lot, by 99%, fundamentally altering the economics of behavioral data analysis. And I throw some more numbers on the slide there to emphasize this point. Foundation concepts, the lake house. Yes, we're all building lake houses now. Open table formats with separated compute enable these flexible, scalable analytics and AI workflows. We're still building with microservices. We're still building with APIs, containers orchestration, and observability, which streamline deployment and monitoring. And RAG is grounding LLMs in specific knowledge. And we're liking that more and more by bringing the corpus of data that our AI is trained on and using under our control. RAG applications are seeing a high increase in budget and interest. They make LLMs more reliable, trustworthy, and usable. Maturing data architectures. This is a miscellaneous slide, some things that I thought I should put out there. Unstructured data, nearing parity. I know I said it last year, but I think this year is going to be the year of unstructured data. Text, audio, and video. Data mesh. I've made a big point about data mesh this past year. And we'll continue to do so. And I think that we're all striving for it, whether we're calling it that or not. But we are definitely looking at these nice decentralized architectures that still have some level of centralization and provide a nice balance and provide a way for the various spokes in the mesh to send data products all over the enterprise and have success. So widespread data mesh adoption is my prediction for 2026. And now let's look at a final few slides on people and process. Process-wise, test data management data. We've been so lax in terms of test data, even till now. It's something that, as a process-oriented manager, I just find to be very lacking inside of enterprises in their development lifecycle. But there are things now to the table that mean that that's going to be a lot easier to solve. Our look at data virtualization for DevOps, we quantified that virtualization of that virtual generation of that data to be much more efficient today. So this matters a lot for CI/CD pipelines because developers and testers can get the data they need faster, iterate more quickly, and avoid delays. It speeds up the entire software delivery process while reducing labor and complexity. Test data management imposes less effort for initial provisioning and 63% less effort, in our example, for iterative development refreshes, which is critical for the pipeline. So there'll be a renewed focus on test data, the rise of autonomous digital operations, AI for IT operations, and I believe this was my presentation last month, AI Ops. Check that out if you care more about that, because I predicted there that it's expected to see accelerating spend and net new growth moving into 2026, particularly as startups and mid-market customers adopt the tools. A big shift to autonomy, autonomous digital operations where platforms independently detect, diagnose, and remediate system issues. That's going to be huge. Autonomous execution in use in this calendar year. The majority of AI use cases are expected to be possible through agentic AI, and they're expected to do autonomous activity. Advanced computing and financial shifts, like I think we'll see some more progress around hybrid quantum transaction. Quantum computing will have its inflection point. And I predict it'll be a major game changer and a primary target for venture capitalism in 2026 and beyond. We're all kind of waiting for that next paradigm, not the one that we're living in or we have been living in for, well, my whole career and probably your whole career as well, right? And then there's quantum computing that's going to change the game and give us just enormous exponential performance on this over our data. Cost optimization. The optimization trend will continue. You know, optimization was a huge word in 2024, where we were trying to get our costs down. by storing data in less expensive, colder storage, for example, and many other ways, trying to just focus on the things that really matter in our environment. Well, it's still true. It's still interesting. It's still a trend. It's still enough to be a trend. More enterprises are using data FinOps to rationalize back-end systems and move data to the least expensive storage and compute platforms. And now we have programs for managing that and making sure that we are getting the most of our money. Social and economic impact. We're going to shift to what I call change management. This means that the emphasis is now on scaling and embedding the technology into everyday workflows, not just testing it. So the pilots are still happening, but they are just going to be the first step. What really matters is managing the adoption. We have to put increased emphasis on managing adoption, training people, redesigning processes, updating governance, and ensuring the technology actually delivers measurable results across the organization. Without that, a pilot might succeed technically, but fail to create lasting impact. We're going to continue to see job market disruption. AI will likely continue to penetrate the job base from the bottom up, making entry-level positions increasingly difficult to find. Relatively speaking, this is a tough time to come into the market, come into this space, because a lot of that is going the way of AI. Now, as an aside, I also believe that AI is being used as an excuse for a lot of the layoffs that are happening out there, and they are layoffs that companies have been wanting to do for some time. But I think AI is actually going to reduce workforces in reality, not just as an excuse over the layoffs that we're seeing happening, which, by the way, a lot of them mean the people needs within the organization are coming back to the organization in different forms than maybe how they left. And maybe that was all part of it. Anyway, back to the knitting here. Organizational resistance is something that will continue in 2026. No doubt about it. We didn't do much to alleviate it. As a matter of fact, there's been a little bit of distrust that has happened inside of the LLM projects that I've seen. LLM is batting, pick a number, 80%, 90%, not good enough for mission critical enterprise projects. And so anytime that you see an error, it just removes a little bit of trust from the whole thing. And there's been plenty of that in 2025. This will have to get shored up. I do believe the models are getting better. Hallucinations are being reduced, and so on. But we're going to have to manage organizational resistance. And probably more important than that is to use AI strategically in the right places within the organization. And by the way, double check its work. Emerging enterprise risks. AI-generated data now exceeds half of the new content. Half of the internet or more of the new content being put out there is AI generated. I can't tell you what high percentage of YouTube videos that I watch are definitely AI generated. And then, of course, models are being trained on data that's out there, and that data out there is AI generated. So it's being fed on itself, if you will. And then there's the data poisoning and the need for lineage and validation, which doesn't quite exist, and expanded AI governance requirements. So this is going to be a productive year for AI, but also a challenging year for AI. And it means that some new roles are emerging around AI governance. We didn't know we needed it. We didn't know we needed it to this degree, to the degree we do in order to be successful. AI quality, AI explaining, all of these things. Bring your own cloud models will be strong in 2026. Deployment models are shifting towards BYOC, where software is launched inside the customer's own cloud perimeter. Our benchmarks show that BYOC streaming platforms can be up to 60% less expensive than traditional software as a service offering while providing superior data security. This trend allows organizations to leverage cloud provider savings plans and reserved instances while maintaining the ease of a fully managed service. So BYOC strong in 2026. Wrapping things up here rapidly, we've got the cloud marketplace procurement agility slide, where gives me a chance to talk about the time to value of cloud procurement. We proved that using, now this is an example, the Microsoft Commercial Marketplace can reduce the time required to license and deploy complex enterprise solutions from weeks to mere minutes. Now, I think this model is going to stick around as we go forward. Evolution of professional roles. I've touched on this a little bit. AI architects, yeah, still essential. This was the year 2025, I'd say, was the year of the AI architect. These professionals will be essential on an ongoing basis for helping organizations reach high levels of data maturity required for advanced AI. Data engineering will also remain a high value profession in 2026, but I'm seeing a creeping trend to where a lot of the coding that we do as data engineers is becoming more automated. And the overarching software engineer starting to step into just doing that because it's automated. And so this, I think, might be a trend in 2027. It's nothing to worry about now, nothing to think about now too much, but keep an eye on that space. Emerging specialists, new roles. I've had a lot to say this year about new roles in the organization. Yeah, like AI ethicists, AI auditors, AI trainers. These are addressing the skills that are filling gaps that are created by the rapid AI adoption that we're seeing. So looking ahead, autonomy will become a competitive differentiator. Agentic AI and open data converge. Governance will be embedded by design. Leaders will separate from laggards. It's a very important year. I think AI is very important to the future of our enterprises, and those who can adopt it successfully in this year are going to be the leaders of their respective industries. Now's the time. And execution will replace experimentation. So if 25 was the year of experimentation, 26 has got to be the year of execution. So I see high expectations, I see high standards, and I see high possibilities, but I also see high risk in 2026. I think, again, the hype bubble is going to burst, and it's going to leave behind the diamonds that are formed through real hard work in people, vendors, and organizations. And curiosity is going to be important, and problem understanding and creativity is going to be important, just as important as technical skills in 2026. So, in summary, AI will move from standalone generative models to agentic systems that execute tasks, semantic layers, and govern data foundations. Data architectures will converge on open formats, distributed SQL, real-time pipelines with edge computing, and automated master data management. Infrastructure will be split between sovereign, on-prem, and edge for control and low latency. We will use BYOC. We will use marketplaces. We will use DevOps and governance as autonomous systems increase productivity. We will demand ROI, and we will shift the human focus to oversight, exceptions, and strategy in the form of new roles and responsibilities within the organization. And that brings me to the end of the formal part of the presentation. Shannon, are there any questions?
William, thank you so much for kicking off the year for this series with such a great presentation. We do have a couple of questions coming in. Just what is your observation related to the need of data modeling practice in the data architecture spectrum?
Interesting. I think data modeling is actually coming back and has become interesting again. We have for a decade, to my chagrin, by the way, been focused on industry built models, on models that were built maybe 20 years ago. Don't touch them. Don't change them. And make little additions. But now I see that with this reemphasis on data and data governance and data quality, that you can't really get there without sometimes redoing the data model. And so modeling is coming back. I don't think the modeler is necessarily coming back. I think it's a skill that now it's got to be part of what else you do, and you get assigned to do that within the organization. But yeah, I see a resurgence.
Well, William, there's so many great questions coming in, but I'm afraid that is all the time that we have for this webinar. Just a quick reminder to everyone, I will send a follow-up email by end of day Monday for this webinar with links to the slides and links to the recording. William, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a great day.